Welcome, everybody, to the NFL Presidential Address. It is week 3. I'm the conductor, Lawrence Presman. You can find me at WagerTalk.com. We got a great show today. If you guys have never tuned into the NFL Daily Presidential Address, I literally go down every single game on the board, top to bottom. I give you my thoughts. Some of the games that I am passing on, I will just pass. If you guys do want to see a full analysis on every single game, including the games I pass on, buy my all access package over at WagerTalk. I do provide about 10 pages of analysis for every single game on the board. Okay, so today's show, we're going to go down every game on the board. We'll also have Meghan Payton joining us a little later in the show for her prop bets for week 3 in the NFL. Let's recap what went down last week. Week 2 in the NFL, I went 4-4 for my clients. I went 1-2 in my show best bets. I went 11-9 in all my plays and leans, and I went 3-2 in my circa bets. Basically, to date, I am, well, as Teddy puts it, kissing my sister, even though I don't have one. My client bets are 7-7. My show best bets are a disappointing 2-4. All my plays and leans are 19-9, and my circa record in my pick 5 is 5-5. Okay, let's get into it. Guys, before we go down the board, I just want to say that this entire show is dedicated to all Chicago Bears fans out there, and you will find out as we move along. Okay, Pittsburgh, plus 4.5 against Cleveland, the total 38.5, give or take. I'm going to skip this game. I am in play on this game for my clients as well. This video is taped on Wednesday, edited on Thursday, and then put up. It might not be up before the game begins. So let's move straight on to the Baltimore-New England game. We've got Baltimore -3. The total on this game is 44 points. Wow, did the Ravens ever look amazing for 3 quarters on Sunday? They were like a team possessed, ready to make a big run. Then they looked like the Bears in the 4th quarter. Yep, that bad. An epic meltdown. The good thing is the big plays are now there for the Ravens. Lamar ran for 75-plus yard touchdown. He threw for a 75-yard touchdown. To give you perspective, I don't think the New England Patriots get one single touchdown over 75 yards all year. What's the issue with the Ravens? It's really their secondary, and they are super banged up. Good thing the Patriots won't be throwing the ball a lot, especially downfield. As for the New England Patriots, we took the under the last 2 weeks in a row, and I'm looking to bet the under in all of their games. They are right back to where they were 20 years ago when Tom Brady just entered the league. Bunch of short passes, a whole lot of running, slow-moving football, clock control, possession control, and that's what we're seeing right now. With that said, their offense looks out of sync. Mac Jones just does not look comfortable or confident. Their identity, run the ball down opponents' throats. What are we going to do in this game? We're going to take Baltimore minus the 3 points. This is an angry Baltimore team coming off of a meltdown where they really did play 3 outstanding quarters of football. They got to come into this game mad with a bad taste in their mouth. I like Baltimore minus the 3. And I also like under the total of 44, guys. No reason to get off this bandwagon. I know Baltimore put up 35 points last week. It was an aberration, and nobody's going to put up 35 to 40 points against New England. Take Baltimore minus the 3, take under the total. Now we move to Buffalo and Miami. Here we have Buffalo at minus 4.5. Wow. It has moved to 6.5. Last night when I was writing it, 4.5. A lot of money coming in on Buffalo. We have a total in this game of 42.5, 43. The Buffalo Bills are just a perfect football team. Are they going to have a perfect season? Probably not. But wow, are they ever awesome. Every part of this team is spectacular. Their running game, their throwing game, their tackling, their turnovers, their coach, their defense, and on and on and on. I can go on and on for an hour about how good they are, but let's look at their weaknesses. So many years ago, a guy wrote a famous book. It was called Everything Men Think About. It had 200 pages in it. The first page said sex. The rest of the pages were empty. This is how I feel about Buffalo. If I were to write a book on their weaknesses, it would simply just be a bunch of empty pages. They are that good. The Dolphins, what a fourth quarter comeback. Was that their coming out party? Was that their statement to the league that we can keep up with anybody? We can score with anybody. We could put up 38 points. We could put up 400 plus yards. Well, great statement and impressive. Too bad they're playing the Bills this week. I got to look at betting the Bills here, guys. I know it's -6.5. I understand that this is a division rivalry. I get it. They're both 2-0 teams. But I think the Bills are not going to look ahead. They need to win this division, and this game is crucially important. I also am looking to bet, well, the over, but it's just too damn high. So my only thoughts on this game is Buffalo minus the 6.5 points. Now we move on to Cincinnati and the New York Jets. As for the Bengals, man, let's bottom line this. If they don't get their offensive line going, they will lose more games than they win. 13 sacks in 2 games. And this is with a newly built offensive line. It seems like Joe Burrows is running for his life on every play. With that said, the Jets are a perfect team for a bad O-line to play against. The Jets have sacked quarterbacks this year 3 times. That's 1.5 sacks a game. What I like about the Bengals in this game is we saw them down 17-0 against Dallas, and they made a late comeback. Now, I grant you it fell short, but it showed a lot of moxie and no quit in this team. As for the Jets, what do you say about this team? They should have lost by 6 against Cleveland. Then they should have lost by 13, and they pulled that game out of their ass. Good for them. Way to go. Now they've won a game. Back to resembling the Chicago Bears. Take Cincinnati minus the points. This is a get-right spot for Cincinnati. Why do I like them here? We know for sure that they are better than the Jets, and we know for sure the Jets are worse than what they looked like last year. This is last week. This is simply a buy low, sell high bet. Now we turn our attention to the New Orleans Saints going in to Carolina. The line here is New Orleans -2.5, give or take. There's 3s out there, and the total in this game is 40.5. This is one of the best, the Saints, one of the best defenses in all of football. End of story, period. They will hold teams to an average of around 18 points per game. Take out 3 late interceptions and a pick 6 on 3 straight drives, and New Orleans likely beats Tampa Bay 6-3. That's how low scoring the game could have been. As for the Panthers, while their defense was good enough to win, their offense wasn't, need I say more. This team will struggle to score points all year, and now they play one of the best defenses in football. Baker last week, 12 completions for 145 yards. At least McCaffrey got into the game. This game, we're going straight with the under, guys. Predicted score 17-13. That gives us 10 points to spare. Now we move on to the Detroit Lions playing Minnesota. Line was Minnesota -7. It's now -6. The total in this game was 50. Then it went up to 53.5. Now it's 52.5. What are we saying about the Lions? I love this team. I have told you to bet the Lions blind all year. You will make money. They're 2-0 already ATS on the season. Last week, I released them as my only side. I did have to sweat a little at the end, but they got it done. This offense is loaded. Swift is sick. St. Brown, Hawkinson, even Goff. They have weapons everywhere. Their defense is definitely lacking, but Aiden Hutchinson looks for real. What a pickup. Second pick in the draft. He had 3 sacks last week. I love Detroit's coach. I love their offensive play calling. I love how they spread the ball around the field. And I want Goff to win because I don't like what happened to him in Los Angeles. I love Detroit. As for the Vikings, I love the Vikings too. Now, I was on the over against the Vikings, on the Vikings in the Philadelphia game. I lost that. That was a 5% play, and it was a big loss and one I'm still stewing about. I just couldn't accept that Kirk Cousins sucking in prime time was a thing. Guess I'm going to have to accept that. You look at that game, man, and the wide receiver, one of the wide receivers for the Minnesota Vikings at the end of that first half dropped a touchdown pass. They would have gone into the half at 24-14. Then Minnesota comes out, moves the ball all the way down the field, throws an interception. Then they do it again. Listen, Minnie moved the ball on Philadelphia. They just couldn't get it done. What do we like in this game? We're going straight back to the over. We've bet the over twice in a row on Minnesota games. We're 1-1. We're going back to the over here again. Now we look at Kansas City versus Indianapolis. The Chiefs, I think they got lucky against the Chargers, to be honest with you. I don't think the Chiefs look, I'm huge on the Chiefs, but I think the Chiefs and the Chargers are right there as the second best team in football equally. Philadelphia could also make a claim for that. You know who can't make a claim for that? The Chicago Bears. Anyway, I'm not going to go on and on about the Chiefs. I think this Chiefs team can name their score against anybody in the league. As for the Colts, man, this team is so bad right now. I'm calling them the baby Bears. You know what? Let's call them the Cubs. They came into the season on paper with what was supposed to be the best O-line in all of football. Now, they might be the worst. Ryan has not been able to do a damn thing this year. I mean, nothing. There's been bad play calling, bad offensive line, bad QB, no wide receivers stepping up. Pittman's been out. Their vaunted run game is shit. The Cubs are abysmal, guys. I'm not going to take the side in this game. Everything suggests Indy is the right spot, but I don't know what this Indy team is really about, and I don't want to bet against a hot Kansas City team. I'm looking to take the over in this game. Kansas City will get 30-plus points, period. They own Gus Bradley. Gus Bradley was the defensive coordinator inside of the division for many years. They have put up 30.5 points on average against him. Now he's the defensive coordinator for the Colts. They will put up 30-plus points again. And as for Indy, I know they laid an egg against Jacksonville. They put together what some would call a Bears-like performance. They're going to be better this week. They're playing against a mediocre defense. Michael Pittman is coming back. My predicted score is somewhere around 35-28. I think this game goes over. Now we look at Vegas against Tennessee. Vegas -2, a total in this game, 45.5. The Raiders have started the year 0-2. Man, too bad they're not playing in the same division with the Jags, Colts, and Texans. You don't want to start 0-2 in that division, but they played way better than the score indicated last game against Arizona. They came out looking incredible. Then they emulated the Bears, and their offense stunk. They couldn't get a first down. Their defense made unbelievable mistakes, and they ended up giving the game away. With all that said, I think we're getting the Vegas Raiders in the right spot here. 0-2, better than their record. Need to win this game. Can't lose 3 in a row. Again, buy low, sell high. The problem is the same exact argument could be made by Tennessee. They've started the season 0-2. They had a humiliating loss against the Bills on primetime TV, and it's technically the right spot to bet both teams. What are we going to do? We're going to take the better team. I like the Vegas Raiders at -125 on the money line. Now we turn our attention to Philadelphia and Washington. Right now the line is Philadelphia -6.5. It came out at 3. When I wrote this, it was -4. There's already a 7 on tap, a shit ton of money coming in on the Eagles. The total in this game, 47. The Eagles are either the third or fourth best team in football. That's how good I think they are. I mean, the Bills, the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Eagles. That's my rating. I think they're the best team in the NFC. They blew me away on Monday night against the Vikings. They were so good and so well balanced on offense, and their D was incredible. Their secondary was all world. If they played against the Chicago Bears, it would have been like 60-0. Anyway, Jalen Hurts impressed me. He was able to throw the ball short, medium, and long. They can sack, they can tackle, they can cover. This is a good Eagles team. As for the Commanders, or as I call them, the Commodores, Their offense is good. It's somewhere in the middle of the pack. Their defense is garbage, bear-like garbage. Washington allowed 3 plays over 49-plus yards against Philly last week. Not against Philly. You know who they played anyway. Bottom line is I like the over in this game. The line was 50.5. It's now 47. I think this creates a lot of value for us. I think the Eagles are going to be able to score at will, and Washington will have no choice to keep up. Take over the total. Why am I not playing the side? I have a rule. I never take favorites over a field goal in the NFC East. It is never a good thing to do. With that said, I can't take the dog here. They're playing Philadelphia, and Washington stinks. Now we move on to Houston versus, the Bears. This game should be called the insomnia game. Anyone who has trouble sleeping, just watch this game. The Texans, 9 points in one game? Those are bear-type numbers. This team has shown us 2 things. Their offense sucks, and their defense is medium to good. How good is their defense? That we don't know. Nor are we going to find out after they play against the Bears on Sunday either. As for Chicago, man, did they look good for 2 minutes on Sunday. And then the game started. This is the worst team in football, period. They have no weapons anywhere. No great wide receivers. Their running back Montgomery's acceptable. They have no edge rushers. Their QB is overrated, and I don't think will have a great career in this league. No one on their team can tackle. No one can coach. Their front office stinks. Their city is windy. Their pizza sucks. This team is a disaster. Anyway, what are we going to do in this game? Well, I'll make it super easy. We're going to take the Texans and the under. As we go on, let's look at Jacksonville against the Chargers. We're going to pass on this game, guys. Just to make mention again, if you want a full breakdown on this game, I do provide it, and I do provide complete breakdowns with more in-depth analysis than what we're talking about. If you buy my client plays, you will get around a 10-page report, and it will include analysis on this game. Green Bay going into Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay finds themselves at -1.5. They were -3 until the Evans announcement came up, and the total in this game is 42. What a sexy matchup this game could have been. But then stupid Evans decided to be selfish. Julio got injured. What's his name? Godwin got injured. I don't know what wide receivers they're running out. I mean, I'm sure Scotty Miller will be a good play for the over in yardage and receptions this coming week. When you look at Green Bay, they lost their first game. I told you they were going to win their second game, exactly what happened last year. And then if you look at last year, they go into San Francisco 1-1 and beat a good San Francisco team. I see no reason why they can't go to Tampa Bay and beat this Tampa Bay team, especially without any of their wide receivers. This team, though, Green Bay, they're changing their identity. This is going to be a run-first football team. LaFleur, after game 1, even announced they didn't get the running backs enough touches. Last Sunday against the Bears, 37 times their running backs touched the ball. With that said, who the hell can run on the Bucs? It's not like their lack of wide receivers will affect their run D. This is going to be an interesting game. When you look at Tampa Bay, no wide receivers this week. Their O-line is a mess. Their offense is out of rhythm. But my God, is their defense good. This team has way too many injuries coming into week 3 for us to look to bet on them. Last year, after 2 games, Brady had thrown over 600 yards in the air, had 6 touchdowns under his belt. This year, 400 yards in the air and only 2 touchdowns. What are we going to do in this game? We're going to take Green Bay plus the points and under the total of 42. As for Atlanta and Seattle, passing outright on this game. Let's move to the Rams versus Arizona. Well, the Cards certainly didn't want to come into this game 1-1, and they made a hell of a comeback last week. What an outstanding effort by Murray in the fourth quarter, and just some incredible scrambling and throws by Murray. That throw on the 2-point conversion to take the game into overtime was mind-blowing. But who is this team? I mean, they literally have been the Chicago Bears for 7 quarters, and then they were the Kansas City Chiefs for 1 quarter. My guess, they're not nearly as bad as they were for the first 7 and not nearly as good as they were in the 8th. In the first half of last game, the Chicago Bears literally called Arizona and were like, yo, stop emulating us. Murray put up 53 total yards. We call that a Mahomes drive. Their offense put up 86 yards in the first half. We call that a kick return. Anyway, as for the Rams, I don't like the way the Rams have started the season. First a stinker against the Bills. Then they almost lost the game against the Falcons while at home and being up a ton. Thank God for their D. Although their offense has sputtered against the Bills, they look good on Sunday. They were able to move the ball, but again, costly mistakes, 2 interceptions from Stafford, bad penalties. This team needs to fix things up. The one good thing about playing against the Cards is the Cards just don't get pressure on QBs right now. This bodes well for Stafford. We're going to take the Rams minus the 4 and over the total of 50.5. As for San Francisco and Denver, we're going to pass outright on that game. If you want to read my analysis, buy my plays over at WagerTalk.com. And as for Dallas and the New York Giants, I have not dug deep into this game. Just been a crazy 3 days. I will have thoughts provided for all my clients on this game when I have done my work, but we right now are going to pass. That's it for the NFL Presidential Address. I think we're going to keep this one under 30 minutes. Megan, you're up. After that, we're going to get to our show best bets. Thank you guys for watching. Stay with us. Meghan Payton, the microphone is yours.
Thanks, Prez. I've got 3 plays for you this week. We're going to start the first one in Pittsburgh. We're going to look at the offense. Tight end Pat Freiermuth, one of my favorite players in the NFL. He's on my fantasy team, and I might be a little biased because I covered the Steelers last season, but the fan base loves Freiermuth. They're screaming Muth every time he makes a catch out on the field. And Pat Freiermuth in week 1 had 5 receptions, 75 yards. Now in week 2, 4 receptions, 22 yards. I expect this to increase against the Browns. Last time he played in Cleveland, 44 yards. Pat Freiermuth is outgaining Chase Claypool right now. The only target above him is Deontay Johnson. Pat Freiermuth is a player that had a great rookie campaign in 2021. He's only going to get more time, more experience out there in Pittsburgh. I love Freiermuth over 38.5 receiving yards this week. Number 2, let's flip over to the AFC. Let's talk about a team that had a lot of offseason drama, a team that most people aren't super high on. That is the Houston Texans. But I do have a player to be high on, and that is running back Dameon Pierce. The Houston fans were super excited in the 4th round when the Texans decided to go with Dameon Pierce. There were a lot of questions at the running back position. They cut Marlon Mack. Rex Burkhead started taking that number 2 role, at least on the depth chart, but it didn't look that way in week 1. Burkhead took a majority of the snaps. Everyone's thinking, what about Dameon Pierce? Well, in week 2, we saw Pierce's role increase. He had 77 total yards, and head coach Lovie Smith said, guys, look, we want Dameon Pierce to be a big part of our offense. And guess what? He's going to have a breakout game this week against the Bears. I am taking Dameon Pierce over 71.5 total receiving and rushing yards. Now, number 3, let's stick on the Houston Texans because if I'm high on Dameon Pierce, that means that I'm a little bit high on the Texans, not to make it to the postseason, not to even break 500, but I think that they can beat the Chicago Bears. The Bears, I get it. We were all kind of excited about them after the game against the 49ers. But let's be honest. The only reason they won that game was because it was an absolute monsoon. The rain was crazy. We said there was beach towels out on the field. Then in week 2, they lose really bad to the Green Bay Packers. And I think this is going to be a closer game than most expect. The Bears' offensive line is ranked 3rd last in the league, according to PFF. Their quarterback situation is still a little bit unknown with Justin Fields, and the wide receiver position isn't looking great. Now, Houston's defense isn't fantastic, but they give up more yards than they do points. I like Texans money line against the Bears. All right, Prez, if anyone wasn't listening, if we need a little bit of a recap, I got you. So number one, I'm taking Freiermuth over 38.5 receiving yards. Number two, Dameon Pierce over 71.5 rushing and receiving yards combined. And number three, let's take Texans money line. That's what I've got for you as we enter NFL Week 3.
Thank you, Meghan Payton. Wow, are we ever lucky to have her? She is so good at this job. I don't know how long we're keeping Meghan, man. I expect this woman to be on the sidelines for ESPN one day. Really impressive. Lucky to have her. Well, let's get into the show best bets, shall we? We got 3 best bets. We need to win all 3 to turn our show best bets record around, and we're going to do exactly that. We're going to take Baltimore and New England under the total of 44. We're going to take Philadelphia and Washington over the total of 47. And we're going to take the Texans and the Bears under whatever damn total is up there. Man, take it on an alternative line at under 20 because this game's got 9-6 written all over it. Anyway, that's it. No teaser bet. My circa plays will be done and ready for Friday. My all-access clients will get them. Guys, make sure to buy my all-access. Look, I've started the season 7-7. Frankly, that's not great, but it's not terrible, and I have got a big run in me. Make sure to check me out. I will have at least 6 plays up for my clients for Sunday. I have 1 play already up for Thursday. Be well, everybody. Take care of yourself. We'll see you next week on the NFL Presidential Address. Namaste.